Hi, and thank you for joining me for this video. So this tent costs around £150 to buy here in the UK. So it's not cheap, but then again, it's not a premium price either. So at this price point, this tent is either going to be a hidden gem for what it is, or it's simply going to be overpriced for what it is. So just a quick word on the storage bag before I set up the tent. When it comes to the size of the storage bag with everything in, it comes in at around 43 centimeters by 18 centimeters, and the packed weight comes in at around 2.5 kilograms. Now the company claimed that this tent is ultralight and portable. Well, at 2.5 kilograms, it's definitely not ultralight, but it's light enough. But portable, definitely yes. Now, when it comes to setting up this tent, it's quick and easy, and there's nothing that's going to catch you out with this tent. Now, you don't get a footprint with this tent, so if you want to use a footprint, get your footprint down first, and then you want to just get your tent laid out, then peg out the four corners. Now with this tent, in essence, you get 3 tent poles. However, your main tent poles are actually connected together, and then you'll be left with a spreader pole. So what you want to do is connect your main tent poles. You will then notice you have one black and one red tent pole. But if you look on the corners of your tent, you'll notice one side you have some red eyelets, and on the other side you have some black eyelets. So basically it's color coding, so you know which poles need to go into which eyelets. Now when it comes to this tent, what makes it great is that the inner tent is already connected to the outer flyer. So if you're setting this tent up during a rainstorm, at least you know your inner tent is not going to get wet. But in saying that, all you have to do is now connect your outer fly to your tent poles, just with the little clips which you can see on your outer rain fly. The next thing to do is connect your spreader pole together. You will then notice each side at the top of your tent, you've got these little loops. All you have to do is connect the ends of your spreader poles to these little loops. But don't forget to make sure that your spreader pole goes over the top of your main tent poles and not underneath them. All that's left to do now is finish pegging out your tent, including your guy lines, which are nice and easy because they already come attached to your tent. You also get a little air vent each side with a little support. Just pop your air vent open with that support, and you are done. So from start to finish, this tent shouldn't take you longer than about 7 to 8 minutes to set up. Now this tent's all set up, I think it looks great. Now I have to say that you know, when it comes to setting up a tent, if it's a real pain to pitch, it doesn't matter how great the tent is. But in saying that, this tent was quick and easy to pitch, and already this tent is looking really good. Now this tent does come in a choice of 2 colors. I've gone for it in this khaki color, but you can also get it in a green. This tent also comes in a 1-person version. Now what I really like with this tent, it has 2 outer doors, it has 2 vestibules, and it has 2 inner doors. So if you are going to be sharing with someone, at least you're not climbing over each other to get in and out of this tent. It also gives you ample storage space in your vestibules, but also plenty of room to cook if the weather's not great. Right, let's take a closer look at some of the other features on this tent. Right, let's talk waterproofing and wind resistance. Now, when it comes to the outer rain fly on this tent, it is made from a 15 denier nylon, and it has a hydrostatic head rating of 5,000 millimeters. It's also been double stitched and tape sealed. Now, when it comes to the bathtub floor, this is made from a 20 denier nylon, and it has a hydrostatic head rating of 8,000 millimeters. It also has been double stitched and tape sealed. So with regards to waterproofing in this tent, you shouldn't have any issues with the water getting into this tent. Now, when it comes to the wind resistance on this tent, the company doesn't actually specify anything about wind resistance, but having a look at the build quality of this tent and comparing it to other tents I've used over the years and other tents I've looked at, I would comfortably say that this tent would quite easily withstand up to 30 miles per hour, which is going to be more than enough for most people. Right, a few more things I would like to mention that I really like about this tent. First of all, I like that they've extended the floor of this tent so it comes all the way out and it covers most of the vestibule. Normally that would only be covered if you had a extra footprint underneath your tent. So that's a really nice touch. Now when it comes to the outer doors, the zips are covered with a storm flap to help protect the zips from any bad weather. Now, when it comes to the zips on this tent, they're not YKK, they are not premium zips, but when opening the inner doors, they are smooth enough. However, the zips are a little on the small side, but not a deal breaker. Now, what I really like with the outer doors on this tent, and don't forget what I show you this side is exactly the same on the other side, you have the option to unzip, roll and toggle just half your outer door panel back, or you could unzip half your outer door panel, and then you will notice on the bottom you've got this little clip. All you have to do is bring it all the way across and it can be clipped onto your tent pole, so it makes opening up your outer door panel and keeping it open quick and easy. Alternatively, you can just undo this middle section here and then just roll and toggle back the second panel of your door so it gives you a nice big entrance. Now, with regards to the inner mesh doors, they just simply unzip, roll and toggle to the side. Right, let's have a good look inside this tent. So the first thing you're going to notice is the amount of mesh on the inside of this tent, because it has been designed as a 3-season tent. So with all this mesh, it's going to give you a nice bit of airflow. It in turn will help reduce any condensation, but also it'll help keep any insects out. Now, when it comes to the inner size of this tent, the length comes in at around 220 centimeters. The width comes in at around 140 centimeters. And then the internal height comes in at around 110 centimeters. Now, as you can see on the ceiling, you do get a little mesh storage pocket. However, you don't get any lamp hooks on the ceiling, but I'm sure you could hook up a little camping lamp quite easily if you try. You then get a storage pocket both sides, right at the ends of your tent, one this end and then one down the other end. So yeah, not a bad sized tent. It has been designed for 2 people. For 2 people, I'd say it would be a little bit of a squeeze, but for 1 person, it would work really, really well. So my final thoughts on this tent. Well, first of all, I really like this tent. I think it's really well made. I think it's quick and easy to pitch. As far as weather goes, you're not going to have any problems with this tent in the rain or the wind. It's got some really nice features on this tent. Ideal for 1 person, but for 2 people, I think it's going to be just a little bit of a squeeze. This tent is absolutely ideal for 3-season camping, but I would quite happily push this tent to the early part of winter if you wanted. Now, when it comes to the price of this tent, around £150, personally, I think when you take into account the build quality of this tent with all the great features it has, I think it's absolutely worth every penny. But let me know what you think about this tent, and is this a tent that you would consider buying? But in saying that, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And lastly, don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.